We're going to present the assembly of a national brood box from a major manufacturer. The assembly of it is exactly the same if we were doing a brood box or a super, and the only difference is that the super is naturally that little bit smaller. When you open the box, the various items you have nails. I've separated the nails for convenience. An end frame, an alternate end frame, recognisable because it has the grooves down the side. 4 side rails, and I'll show you the reason that we have to assemble those in a particular manner, and 2 side pieces. The side pieces naturally just go between the two to give the width of the unit itself. Firstly, take a side piece. In the case of a brood box, you don't have any difficulty in actually deciding which side to use. In the case of a super, you would, because it has a cut through one side, a groove through one side, and that's to accept a castellated spacer. In this case it hasn't, it's a brood box, you don't do that to a brood box. Nail the 2 side rails on, the running rails, with the small brass escutcheon pins, firmly all the way across. I won't put them all in because of time. I'll put the one in there and one at the end. I'll do the same on this side. It must be central, otherwise it makes it more difficult to assemble it at a later point. Appreciate that I would have done all 5 holes on both sides were it to be assembled and to be used, but just for demonstration purposes I can leave it like that. Now the next most critical part is to actually measure 7/16 of an inch from the top of that surface there of both boxes, both sides of the box, 7/16 down. I use a pair of dividers or a compass because that actually gives me a very, very accurate point at which to mark the top there and there. And that measurement is quite critical, it really is, and I'll explain why. Again, there and there, just making a little pot mark inside there so you can see it. When you then present the sides to that part there, to the part itself, if you make sure, and I would probably want to move it a bit nearer to me, if you make sure that the top of the running rail, the rail that holds the frames on, is perfectly in line with that little dot that I've made, then you'll see that it sticks out later. I would glue all seams before I put them in. On this instance I'm not going to, but I don't think it's actually necessary just at this point, in the case of speed. Again, it's so critical that I get that level there, exactly 7/16 of an inch. That level, in respect of that level, has to be 7/16 of an inch down. No more, no less. And the reason that's critical is because when I fully assemble it, I put a frame in the top there, you'll see that it really just sits 1/16 of an inch underneath that part there. So again, they've all been glued, firmly placed in, and then present that to the other side. And again, you've got to watch for that 7/16 gap. It's so important. I can't emphasise it enough. Sixteenths again. If it's slightly out, make sure that it's right before you knock it into that groove. Now I can see that it's not square at this point, and as I assemble it later on you'll find that there are things that will start to pull it square. But it does no harm to just put a set square inside and see just how far out it is, and try and correct it roughly so that you know you're starting to build a box that's square. That's the other important measurement we've got to take. It's got to be square. Of the side rails there are variations. 2 of them have a slot down the side, which is to take the side frame, and 2 of them have a bevel at the bottom. and that's to let the rain run off. I'll show the bevel one first, and this is the bottom of the hive. It goes so that the bevel is actually ensuring that any rain that comes in runs off that. It's easy if I just turn it round just to present that to you. Again, these joints would be glued. And in presenting them in there, you start to see that the whole box becomes quite rigid and firm. The top one again has that one little slot out at one side, but it's square in all the other aspects. Exactly the same on the other side. Top one has the groove inside, groove joints. Chamfered one, chamfer running away from the unit itself. Now, because I contend that these are so well made, and really engineered in wood as it were, which is not engineering in metal but engineering in wood, they are so well made, I can be fairly assured that it's going to be square. And it is, and that's because these bars have really pulled it together and made it square. Now it's just a matter of nailing it all together. Start with the 2.5 inch nails, galvanised nails, and go through the apex of the tongue of these all four of those rails, right in the centre, as carefully as you can, making sure that you get the nail vertical so they go straight in. Just to the two, you would do the opposite end. You would obviously nail the same on the other side. Now, just to the two for convenience at this stage. Secondly, then you have to also nail from this side to the upright. Now that's a difficult one to sort of gauge. If you just pick a nail up and you use the smaller nail, the slimmer nail, and these are only what 1 inch long. If you just try to gauge that by eye, you'll get it wrong. So I just put a little mark in line with that section there, in the middle of that section, on the top, put a square on it, and scribe just a fine line, nothing too elaborate, a fine line down. That'll wear off in years to come. And then again, take these nails in that line, and present them 4 of them, say, in that length. And you're assured then that they're going to go in. I'll put another one at the far end just to show what I mean. And what I would then do would be to get a pin punch, not everybody would have one, and just set those nails with one blow just below the surface. If we're going to do it, we'll do it professionally. Now, again, the only other serious measurement is the squareness of the box. If I check the squareness there, I can see it's square on those two sides. And if I want to just confirm it, or a simpler way to do it if you haven't got a square, just measure from that corner there, that apex there, with your tape measure, and everyone's got that, to that corner, that apex there, take an exact measurement and do exactly and repeat the same on those two corners. And if they're the same, and you can be assured the box is square. I said that the most important measurement was the 7/16 inch from there to there, and it is, because if you put a frame in, this is the top bar of the frame, you'll notice now that there's just 1/16 of an inch below the top surface of that. So if that was a 1/16 of an inch out, it would be level with it, which is not good, and if it was so much further out, it would be lower, and the bees would propylize that frame up, and you get propylizing all on the top of that. This really just confirms the importance of getting those two measurements right, 7/16 to the top of that frame from that surface there.